Bam, we're live.
That's cool.
Brian Friend, Taylor Self, J.R. Howell, Andrew Hiller, Matt Souza, and Caleb Beaver. Still can't even believe that's your name after over a year. Let's go immediately to the women's leaderboard.
It's not quite updated yet.
Okay.
I'm keeping an eye on it. The men's is updated, but women is not yet.
Okay, let's go over to the boys.
Why am I lighting seem terrible?
Whoa.
You
can't say women and boys. How dare you?
Wow. You can. They're boys. They mature slower.
All right. You can then.
Chandler Smith with a huge jump.
Oh, a great.
Oh,
This is the women's.
Oh,
I
that
want to say that I said Chandler
The
Smith
women's was
gonna win the
updated.
competition yesterday. He was in 4th place.
Are you referring to Chandler, Mr. Hiller?
I'm referring to Chandler, and he's
5
close.
points out.
Okay, Matt Souza was able to pull this off the live stream. We're looking at the leaderboard. Laura Horvat with 600 points with 2 events left. Annie Thorsdottir with 585. Gabriella Magawa with 550.
Wow.
Ellie Turner 535. Emma Lawson jumps. No. Emma Lawson 530. Amanda Barnhart 525. Danielle Brandon 510. Alexis Raptis 505. Where was Alexis before this event started? You know? Ninth.
Yeah.
Oh, so she only moved up 1. Okay.
Yeah, but look at the points. She put her 55 points between herself and Spiegel, and she's only 5 points behind Brandon, 20 behind Barnard, 25 behind Lawson, and 30 behind Turner. So that with that workout alone, she puts herself within touching distance of 4th place.
Well said, Mr. Brian Friend. Laura Horvat, Annie Thorsdottir are going to be the big story going into these next 2 events. Let's immediately go to. Well, let's talk about quickly. Andrew Hiller, what did you see in this event? Anything surprising on the girls' side?
I was really looking at Danny Spiegel's handstand push-ups. I was wondering why she was getting no reps. It has to have been because of the width of her feet. I actually had an entire post kind of lined up because it looked like they were no repping based upon feet coming off of the wall during the repetition at all. But it ended up more likely being that they were going outside of the parallettes. And then, of course, she was yelling at her judge for giving her a hard time and then was getting every single rep she was doing at that point.
After she yelled at her judge.
In the first set, I think it looked like she had gotten 2 no reps. So she ended up doing 11 handstand push-ups instead of 9. She turns to her judge and she's like, "What the fuck?" Quote unquote. That's not actually what she said.
The standard that they have for this, and honestly, for anyone who's watching, whether you're in the stands or you're at home, it's going to be really difficult for us to assess whether they were good calls or not. The judge's angle isn't even optimal for what the standard is because there's another athlete right behind them. So I would say this is a very difficult standard for us to say if the judges were doing a good job or not. And it's a difficult standard for the judges to uphold to begin with.
Brian, what are you referencing?
Dinged on that too. Bad.
Brian, what are you referencing when you say and that there's another athlete behind him? What does that matter?
The wall, like one athlete was doing a handstand push-up here and the other was doing it here. So if I was facing my wall and you were facing yours, our butts would be touching each other. So the judge could not look straight on to see if the feet stayed within the width of the hands or the parallettes. They had to be at a 45-degree angle, which usually you want for most movements in CrossFit. But in this case, I think that the direct angle behind would be the optimal. So if the handstand push-up walls, for example, were facing the field, everyone would be able to see how wide the feet were relative to the hands. But because of the way that the rig is designed, they can't put the handstand plexiglass like that. And so this was sort of the best they could do given that situation.
So basically,
and standard
cramped quarters, limited room.
Yeah, but I was really surprised that we didn't have any cameramen trying to squeeze in there to get the good angles, between the athlete and the wall.
They're not as good as the ones at the CrossFit Games, that's for sure.
Can you clarify the standard, Brian?
1 second, real quick. 1 second, Brian. Trevor Gentry, $9.99. You guys have all been awesome the whole weekend. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Trevor. Your loot means a lot. Heidi Kroom, thanks, Sevan and team. You're the best. Hi, Brian. If you'd like to get Heidi's books, plural, you go to Amazon.com, type in Heidi Kroom, HEIDICRUME, and make the purchase today. Okay, go ahead, Brian. What was the question, Taylor?
Clarifying the standard on feet and hands.
Oh, we need real Brian for that. I just pretend to know what I'm doing.
But just pretend then for us, please.
My understanding is that the feet needed to stay within the width of the hands or the parallettes, which were the same thing in this standard, and that there were even Laura Horvath, I think, got a no rep for that. There were a lot of athletes getting no reps throughout the workout, but like I said, it was really difficult from pretty much any angle to know if they were good calls or not.
Johnny, $9.99. Thanks, brother. I love seeing the comments. Regular listener, everyone gets something off the dollar menu with this money. Thanks for the coverage all weekend. We will see you at Jack in the Box. Taylor, anything you want to say, big picture about this event? Any shocks? Did it play out as you thought? Commentary, women's side.
I don't think any shocks on the women's side. I was a little surprised at how Justin struggled. But aside
Let's say
from
at
that,
the women,
nothing.
can we sort by result for the women on this workout specifically?
Yes, please. Mr. Souza, event 8, click at the top. While we wait for that, Anthony TPA, $5. JR, is it worth it for Laura to focus on getting better strict handstand push-ups? Worth the small percentage gain? Keep killing it. Glad John Young is not here.
Stop reading. Oh, damn
it. Be friendly.
So glad John Young is not here. That's fucked up. I met John Young. I like him.
I think that's just how people express love for John Young. JR, that question's for you, brother.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth it for her, and I think that she has been. I think the notion that she just neglects it in her training is really irresponsible for people to say. I'm sure that she works on a strict pressing a lot. However, the maybe fruits of that labor just haven't really been seen. Go ahead.
Do we know how much Laura weighs?
Okay, good point. I want to ask, what do you think the best way for her to approach that weakness is? Do you think it's simply what she's been doing and bashing her head into a wall, doing 3 reps every week because that's all she can do in a week? Or is there another way she could potentially do more?
You're basically saying, Taylor, should she change her body composition? Should she come in 10 pounds lighter to help her handstand push-ups?
I'm asking.
You're asking. I'm saying. JR, we'll put you on the spot with that.
Yeah, and I think that if she does that, her handstand push-ups, or strict handstand push-ups specifically, would improve a lot.
A lot.
The argument to that is, does she get these 4 or 5 event wins on other things if she just gets better at that movement? And is that worth it?
Does the cost of losing weight cost her those other event wins?
This is the
and
way
ultimately
I see it.
in her case, especially because it is a competition and the points are ultimately what matter. Does she gain more points relative to to the points that she would lose on those workouts? And I don't think so.
I think she does. I
agree with Brian. I don't think she does.
I don't think she does. I don't think she drops more than 2 places and any of those event wins by potentially losing 10 pounds. And she does.
Do you think Danny Spiegel would do better at the runs if she lost weight? Because she looks like she's 170, 180. Do you think that she does better on the ruck run, and then it also takes away the event win on the log? And before anyone tries to say anything about me making comments on women, I also was critiquing Chandler Smith for being too bulky yesterday. So,
bam,
and here's the other thing.
One more thing to consider is how often does a movement that's going to hurt her this badly show up in a competition relative to a workout that she can score 90 plus points. Those workouts are showing up 5 times or more in any competition that's got at least 8 workouts. This is maybe showing up once every 3 competitions.
You're right. Let me respond to that. So you're looking at it from the perspective of an analyst, and all you guys are right. You're correct. I guess the way I'm looking at it from the perspective of an athlete, I do not want a workout to exist where I can't complete 3 fucking reps of a 3-round workout, personally. So that's just my own opinion. That would,
and it's not even that it's 3 rounds too. How many total reps was that workout? I mean, it was a shitload of reps, right? 3 reps out of
77.
87, I think, and she got 22 or 3.
Jeremy Garcia, I'm not sure I understand this comment. Laura is hitting handstand push-up reps without fatigue. Adding fatigue is her downfall. He's suggesting that if you just put her in a room, she could do all 27.
Wrong.
Okay.
I would say wrong as well.
Jacqueline
Stupid
Robertson, Canada, $10. Jacqueline, you've been generous all weekend. Thank you. I want to say something really quick too, just in defense of the subject at hand. These are athletes who spend 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for years on end, focusing on their bodies in regards to their sleep, their nutrition, their training, and their thoughts. Every component of their body they are focused on. To leave any stone unturned that we can't talk about is your problem if you find any of it offensive.
Correct.
They put themselves out there. We're here as the pundits. We're here as the coaches. We're here as the thought police. We're here as all that. All of it is open game to us. We may hear one athlete say, I go out there angry thinking about Uncle Buck who molested me. Another athlete might be thinking about the free world. We can critique it all and what they're doing.
Sevan, you forgot a couple things. We also have people on this show like Taylor and Andrew who have invested similar amounts of time over periods of their life to be as good as possible at this as well. So they've seen it from that perspective.
How dare you? J.R. Howell's here too, please.
Jared's the only one of us who's made the games too.
Correct. And I think, I'm glad. Thank you for saying that, Sevan. It's every other sport does it. They, in the NFL, they talk about athletes and their injuries and all that shit all the time. Weight. I mean, there's just no way it should be off limits to discuss one. But
I think
two,
it's a blessing and a curse, the proximity bias that we have with these athletes.
Yeah, and no one's saying anything bad about any of them. They all have remarkable physiques. We're talking about should the Ferrari have these tires on them or those tires on them. That's it.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same as analysts talking about Zion Williamson. I mean, he's like one of the most athletic people on earth, but he was so heavy playing in the NBA, and they're like, this guy should lose some weight.
Same with
Hurt
Shaq.
his body. Yeah.
Same with Shaq.
Conversation. I'm not saying anything negative, but she would.
I did see
played it into a lucrative career in commercials afterwards.
Big in talk
just commercials. Like sponsorships, so we see in CrossFit for certain things.
Barry McCockiner.
I think Shaq's gonna have a commercial next week with a new shirt that says "Guys That Eat."
Barry McCockiner, you guys are wrong about weight. This is what I know. I just know from my own personal experience. I know the difference between weighing 165 and 155 going for strict muscle ups is massive.
What?
Yeah, this guy's a fucking
idiot. What does
idiot.
the Wall Street weightlifter have to do with anything? He can't do any of this fucking shit.
Yeah, he's
he lifts a lot of weight for a lot of reps. He's impressive as all hell, but he can't do these events.
Sevan,
why he's not there?
Can we switch to something really amazing that just happened on the women's side?
Please, let's do it. Can you bring up the scoreboard again?
Yes, dude. Emma McQuaid's performance on this workout. Look at the gap. Every single one of us picked Alexis Raptis to win this workout. 3 people beat her. Look at the time gap from Emma McQuaid to Manu Nangonis.
She beat all the men.
Insane.
She beat all the men. She almost
crazy.
She almost beat Matt Fraser's 2019 time. She almost beat Matt Fraser's time with an added 200 feet of transitions. Unreal.
And let me say this: she has more Matt Fraser's body, Alexis Raptis composition than Carrie Pierce, who would have also dominated this workout probably.
Carrie Pierce would have dominated.
I thought Emma McQuaid would do well on this. If you told me she was going to beat the field by 90 seconds, I would have told you were crazy. That was one of the most impressive individual performances I've seen yet this weekend. And
I think Emma McQuaid's coach is.
She's here in person. She's wearing a baseball jersey today. If you see her around, Sam Briggs.
Sam Briggs. She may be one of the worst top CrossFit Games champions ever at handstand push-ups. True.
Sheesh.
So
I guess.
I did see athletes getting reps when their heels were coming off the wall. Did you guys also see that?
Yes, and I saw reps that were given to athletes whose feet came off the wall.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point exactly. Okay, so
I think it was more about the width than the
about the width. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a question too. Usually on a handstand push-up standard, at the top of the repetition, if the hips are still closed, that's also a no rep. So if the backside is starting to move toward the plexi and there's still a closing of the hip, they won't give it to them. So I wonder if some people were locking out and then kicking off the wall before they showed that straight up and down positioning.
Brian McCockner, I'm not saying CrossFit. You were literally just compared weight to handstand push-ups. I gave an example with someone who is large in weight who can perform handstand push-ups efficiently. Mic drop. Who did he give? Who is? Oh,
The Wall
He
Street
said
weightlifter.
can do
Which
one
rate? He's
handstand
got a
push-up.
point.
He can do one handstand push-up at a deep
He
deficit.
can do
That's
that.
not a good point.
He's
not a
also
good
got like a 300-pound strict press, so I guess that would be the correlate. Work on your strict press, Laura.
Jenny Vaccaro, 1999, crazy generous. Thank you. Great coverage all weekend. Thank you. You're very welcome. And thank you. Let's go over to the men, and then we will come back over to the women and discuss in more detail what's going to happen between Annie and Laura on the next workout, event number 9, which starts at 11:10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wow, that's a long way away. Do I have that right?
Yep.
Wow.
Hour and a half away.
Yeah,
Justin Medeiros. Oh shit, Chandler's in second.
Yeah, he made a huge jump on that event.
Justin Medeiros took 8th in the workout. That was enough to get first place overall with 585. Chandler Smith 580. Roman Krennikov 575. Patrick Vellner with 550. I did hear in the back during the briefing that Vellner and Annie got extremely vocal with the staff that were briefing. They were not happy with the handstand push-up positioning of the parallettes. Any chance, Andrew Hiller, that Chandler Smith can win this?
I said he would yesterday, right? I think he can, especially with the event that's coming next. It'll depend on what the final is.
I don't know. I don't think Chandler's as good as Justin at ring muscle ups, and I think it's predominantly for most of these guys a ring muscle up workout.
Katie, $10. I value your content more than $10. Well, thank you. Thank you for taking my call the other day on the live call-in show. Hey, thank you for calling. Thank you for being the one caller. You're a good dude. Okay, go ahead, Hiller.
I don't know. It's just something about Chandler's background. I think that he'll deal with the hill slightly better than Medeiros. That being said, they're going to both do very well on the workout. It'll be a coin toss to see who does better. But Medeiros is, yes, better at muscle ups.
Brian, are you going to stick with until someone beats Medeiros? He's the champ, and you're always going with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Taylor, do Roman and Chandler, or any chance, or this is just fun to watch, but still Justin all the way? He's the champ.
Oh, there's for sure a chance. There's not even it's a 10-point gap between third and first. There's always a chance.
God, I hope Chandler takes him down. That'll be so
awesome.
good.
It would be fucking cool.
How many people had something to say when we were projecting Chandler with just a top 10 finish, talking about how he's washed up and he doesn't belong and he's not good anymore. He's not even top 30 in the world and all this stuff.
Guilty.
Oh, that was you?
I thought seriously, I thought he was going to retire after this. I thought he was going to have his feelings hurt so bad that he was going to retire. And in Chandler's defense, not only is he doing this, but he's doing it with the best field maybe ever, including any field that's been at the CrossFit Games, since we have 14 of the 15 top finishers at the CrossFit Games here.
I think right now it's 1 point Ben Bergeron, 0 points Andrew Hiller.
That 2 points. Dude. 2 points Ben Bergeron.
2 points Bergeron. Yeah, he got one yesterday for the log lift.
Oh, it's funny.
Not only do we credit Ben Bergeron, but we give him 5 points. We give him 5 points. Bergeron. Stephen Lachance, 20 euros. Thanks, brother. All these donations mean a ton, more than I can express, because I don't want you guys to know that I'm not wealthy as fuck. Rich Brazda, Toxic Masculinity Defense Fund donation for Hiller.
That's my favorite.
Says the man with 4 beautiful women in his family, standing up for men, because he knows that all strong women need strong men. Thank you. Heidi Kroom, Chandler's dad is in the stands for the first time ever. Don't underestimate a desire for a guy to make his dad proud. For someone who didn't have a dad, is that true? I can't.
Say it. Yeah, it is
We're going to
true.
take 1 point off of Bergeron there. And one Bergeron, one Chandler Smith's dad.
How do you remember that about me, Sevan?
For someone who doesn't have a dad, how true is that, Mr. Self? Do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, I'd love to talk. I mean, I'm not scared to talk about that. It's a huge thing. I dealt with that for such a long time. You don't have that massive part of your life, and you go through a part of your growth and upbringing trying to find people to fill that role. And I think, potentially a lot of kids who do really well in sports or have dads that aren't around as much struggle with that. I know several in this field that do. So huge thing, enormous.
What's interesting about that also, Taylor, is that I don't know if I heard this right, but I think I heard Sean Woodland say that not only is this Chandler's dad's first time in the audience, that possibly they were alluding to the fact that Chandler's dad doesn't take this as a serious sport, since he was a fullback in the NFL that played with Emmitt Smith.
I don't think he does. And you think of that's exactly what I'm talking about. I made a facetious comment about daddy issues, but one, we got to look at being better fathers for our kids. You're a great example of that, Sevan. And if that's, who knows how Chandler Smith's dad actually feels. I think the main thing to point at is that if there is any turbulence there, that's a huge deal. And the effect that it has on kids, how they're treated by their parents it's everything.
Patrick Anderson, Taylor's initial interview with Sevan was, in my humble opinion, his top podcast with any athlete. It's definitely one of the top 10 best podcasts, period, that I've ever done. Critically acclaimed.
Thank you.
You were great. That was fun. I was in Lake Tahoe when I did that. Anyone else want to say anything? I want to pop back over to the women. Does anyone else want to say anything here about the men? Oh, let's talk about Jason Hopper.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think, especially when we were talking about Laura and what she needs to do to get better at something, I can say, just because I'm in such close proximity and seeing him at the gym train at least 5 days a week, the amount of work and the amount of repetitions that's gone into him being able to win a workout like this as one of the heaviest athletes in the field, is even in the competitive field of CrossFit, just speaks volumes to what sometimes the refusal to be bad at a movement will do for you, right? To be able to win this workout at 220 is super impressive to me, almost as impressive, if not more, than Emma's performance was.
Yeah, can we sort this? Can we sort the men's results in that field, actually?
Very impressive by Jason.
And you would think that people would have kind of learned their lesson after Echo Press. I mean, Will Morad was the only person that beat him in that workout at the games.
Look at the next five guys. Yonikoski's got to weigh like 180. Chandler's like average size, probably 195. Noah, Tetlow, and Adler, he's got at least 25 pounds probably on the next five finishers in this field.
But let's not forget this. Let's not forget the workout had 60 dumbbell snatches with a 100-pound dumbbell. I can guarantee you it fatigued Jason a whole fuckload of a lot less than the next three guys.
You guys are
if we saw all the 200-pound plus men up here at the top, then we would weight the dumbbell heavily. But obviously, Jason handles the dumbbell well. He also has incredible proficiency in that movement for someone that size.
He does. That's for sure, without a doubt.
What did he have bad handstand push-ups before, JR?
No, but they weren't anything that would be considered a strength. And it's not just the handstand push-ups. It's the amount of strict pressing of all kinds.
Guilty.
Bench press, regular push-ups, ring dips, Arnold presses, Z presses, obviously strict handstand push-ups. It's everything. And it's paying off here, as we see.
Second place on Echo Press at the games. First place on this workout here. Clearly one of his strengths. And probably, yes, he's had to put a ton of work to get there.
Chris Cordino, I think this is an astute observation. Jason was super casual on the dumbbell. He just looked like he was chilling.
We were talking about this in the stadium. I would say he was casual the whole workout. He just casually crushed everyone on this.
And I would maybe disagree. I don't say I want to disagree with JR, but I don't think I ever remember looking at Jason's strict pressing or strict handstand push-ups as anything that. I mean, I suppose I would have considered it even maybe a strength. And I think the only area, or at least the big area, to look at Jason and any forms of deficiency is anytime a hip drive comes into play with the movement, hip extension, explosive hip extension.
Tom Guerin, the third, $20. Haven't been able to catch Love all weekend, but appreciate the recaps. Always number one team in the space. Thanks, Tom. You the man. Tom Guerin, the third. Thank you. Great donation. Appreciate it. Also, in regards to Jason Hopper, do you think that's Wad Zombie said jokingly, should Laura be training with him? Is that something that could help? Could Could she come to and train with someone like Hopper, who's also a larger athlete, and glean some knowledge from him?
Dude, she's got a lot of really good people around her. I mean, think about who she trains with every day.
Right. Okay. You're talking about Ben Smith, Alex Smith, Danny Spiegel, and the parade of other people who probably roll through there to get some of Ben Smith's mojo.
Hey, just as a
Jason
question,
Hopper.
just as a question to throw it out there, do we think that the placement of the event mattered for Laura here? Like, if this was the second or the third event, you think she would have done better? Is there fatigue accumulating over the weekend?
Yeah, we were all kind of talking about the fact that the only thing that they've pressed overhead was the log last night. And depending on how far you made it, that was maybe 4 reps. So I would say that the pressing musculature is one of the things that hasn't been taxed all weekend.
Interesting conversation going here between Jeff Bako and Heidi Kroom. Noah is a giant tool. Heidi responds with a brilliant comment. What do you have against giant tools? I agree, Heidi. I take that personally, Jeff.
Yeah. This is a good example of how some people in the comments have no fucking clue what they're talking about. Noah's probably one of the nicest guys out there.
So Noah is the man. He is so nice. He treats me so well every time I see him.
It was so cool to see that race with him and Tetlow at the end and see Noah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That
was awesome.
Winning that sprint. Did you see that, Sevan? Did you see that?
No. How would I have seen it? Tell me how I would have seen it. Anyone? Can you fucking believe that they're cutting in between shots during what was probably the highlight moment so far of this weekend? All they had to do, they weren't even talking about Noah. They were just talking about Tetlow and a couple other guys, which is fine. But when you see him and Noah on their last handstand push-ups hit this split screen, or at least someone tell Sean Woodland or Adrian Conway to start talking about Noah, start talking fast. Oh my God, we have one handstand push-up left. It's Tetlow and Noah. Noah's descending. Tetlow's descending. Noah locks out. Tetlow's already off the bar. They're running. Noah's 5 yards behind him. They run across the finish line. Noah wins by 10. Anything. Instead, we have to piece it together with ourselves as they cut to 3 different shots over a 2-second frame. It's like, please, guys, this is a competition.
If you like that call, tune in 2 weeks.
For the Zello games. Listen, I love all the fancy cameras they have. You guys would do better if you would have locked off 5 iPhones in the stadium and just took it chill and went back and forth and just let us and I know Sean and Adrian can do it. I don't mean to Sevan just orgasmed. Almost.
Brian from Wish.
I mean, it was that was a bummer. Here's the other thing too, in the same respect to that, the entire time during the male race, that race was between Justin Medeiros, Roman Krennikov, and Chandler Smith, basically. And they should have just spent a ton of time, because at the end of the day, what matters is at the end where they are on the leaderboard. And they didn't address that narrative, that storyline until the last 30 seconds of the race, and it's too late at that point. Okay. What do we think about Justin Medeiros'? And I saw who else did I see do it? Maybe I saw Emma McQuaid do it a couple times. Switching the dumbbell. Justin Medeiros is switching dumbbell hands at the top with 100 pounds, and the dumbbell is actually weightless for a second, as opposed to Jeff Tetlow, who goes the exact. And there were a lot of people in between.
Scott Tetlow.
Scott Tetlow, who actually basically drops the dumbbell each time and just guides it down in the drop. Any opinions on that?
It's just about playing to your strengths. I thought that Justin was unnecessarily cycling the dumbbell, but it turns out that he passed his 2 biggest competitors in the last round of handstand push-ups. So that's, credit to him for knowing his capacity and pacing the workout well relative to those guys. Scott Tetlow beat Justin on this workout, and I think did very, very well. Top 5 finish, best finish of the weekend for him. The 100-pound dumbbell is heavy for him. He was squat snatching it, but he also maximized his potential on this workout relative to his skill set. So just depends on what you're good at. And this is an example of where the dumbbell weight did matter for Tetlow, but he navigated that well enough to take advantage on the wall and still have a top 5 finish.
Andrew Hiller, Justin is a master at pacing workouts. We've been talking about it all week. Did we see it again here?
It's exactly what Brian said. He passed up some competitors on that last set, and what you saw is he would always get back to the dumbbell and he would pick up some of what he lost perhaps on those strict handstand push-ups. I was watching, I'm like, holy shit, Roman's better than he is at strict handstand push-ups. But what you saw is Roman failing handstand push-ups on the final set, and Justin was not failing them. So, yeah.
My phone just told me that I average 6 hours and 51 minutes a day on my phone.
That's nothing. You got to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Oh, my God. I wish my assault bike would tell me that's what my averages are. J.R. Howell, Danny Spiegel comes out shot out of a cannon on the dumbbell snatches. That first round of dumbbell snatches may be one of the most impressive first rounds I've seen. Was that smart that she did that? Did that cost her, or is that she has to play to what she has?
You know, it's interesting. A lot of people want to say that going touch and go is foolish, or doing singles is foolish, or you should just go based off your strengths. But sometimes the athletes know themselves so well. They're like, hey, at rep 20, I'm going to start to fatigue. It doesn't matter how slowly I get there or how fast I get there. So I'm just going to start out fast because I know that a fatigue is going to set in at the same time anyway. So maybe she just did that knowing that it was going to start to get hard for her after the first round. She was trying to bank as much time as possible. And she knew the time under tension going touch and go wasn't going to matter for her.
Octavio Garcia, CHF 20. Thank you, fellas, for the dedication insights. You're very welcome. What country?
I was just thinking congestive heart failure, but
is currency?
Swiss francs.
Ooh,
Are they really?
Ooh,
Wow.
ooh.
I was like, what am I not paying attention to? And I totally missed. I wasn't looking at Brian's camera.
Oh, yeah. Brian showed you people with no rep shirts on.
I was looking, I'm like, what's going on Brian's screen? And then it went dead. And I was like, oh.
And they waved at you, and you didn't even wave back.
Such a
Sevan, this is a big question. What do you think the most critical part to growing this sport? What do you think is the most critical part to growing this sport?
Affiliates.
You think affiliates?
Definitely affiliates, but I think when you said that, I was thinking specifically into the presentation of it to the public.
Fans, right?
Yeah, and basically, people will follow any narrative. They don't care if it's ant racing. Someone could put a YouTube show on right now with two snails with string taped to their back, and we'd all watch it to see who pulls which snail across. We want to see competition.
Yeah.
We want to see. And we needed. We don't even need. People are like, it's too hard to follow the details, but we don't even need to know all that. This show is for people who are just geeking out on the details. They need to basically show us. And thank you for the alley-oop, Taylor. They need to show us the competition, the struggle, the closeness of it. And what is the definition of competition, Sousa? They need to read this definition of competition and what sport is to the production crew before every single fucking event, so that people can remember what their job is. Their job is to create a narrative that shows the activity or condition of competing, an event or contest in which people compete, a person or people whom one is competing. Yeah, they need to exaggerate and exemplify that piece, the competition.
Yeah, I think John said it here too, the behind the scenes.
Well, that
because here's the
story.
deal, like people, the tail of the tape of the UFC or the boxing and that hype leading up as you get to know them is the most important part, because people don't get behind competitions, they get behind people. So once you have that emotional attachment to it and you want to see your athletes and you know their stories and their families and their upbringing and their struggles, that's when the fan base starts to build, and that's when you get hardcore fans.
No one gives a fuck about Conor McGregor until the story about him has been told.
Yep. And the reason I asked that is I had a thought. Somebody had mentioned to me about how I was being a part of the negative CrossFit culture that particular person in the space had been trying to change for a long time. And it really rubbed me the wrong way, because I felt like this group particularly is a part of everything that's so important in trying to grow the sport. It really,
yeah. Well, we're sharing the narrative. If you want the narrative, you can come here. Whether we're doing it well or not, we're doing it better than anyone else. There's a great line in here. Ignore those people. Those are people just trying to protect their ass.
Privacy. They're trying to protect their ass. They're trying to protect their ass, but they hide behind the smoke screen. They hide behind the curtains, and they don't share anything behind the scenes, which is what everyone wants to see. It's how the sport
That's a good
grows.
comment.
And it doesn't matter whether you like Dave or not. It's a matter of his contribution to the narrative, and Tom Guerin gets it perfect. I want to see Camille yelling at Dave while her feet slip on the sled pushes. That's what makes me want to watch. Yeah,
you know that, but you don't know who finished third at the 2016 CrossFit Games, do you?
Right. No.
Yeah.
I
But
don't.
you remember the slipping of a sled training for the 2014 CrossFit
or her
Games.
crying when her rower shuts off.
Good point.
Fowler and Sarah.
I knew you would. I knew it.
And as Philip, oh Jesus, please, Philip, don't give this shit to Hillard.
I was gonna say we're gonna make a Netflix documentary called Bergeron versus the World. That's gonna be the promotional video for CrossFit.
Mike Haplin applying for a job. Video production step 1: pre-plan the shots that align with the best of the movement of the workout. Same as org going over movement with athletes. The production team should know better. I know the overhead shot with overhead squats is batshit crazy.
Taylor getting crushed by the pig.
I wish that was on video.
Yes. Viral.
But we told the story. We told the story. There are a lot of other people in the space who were swept that under the rug and tried to act like it never happened.
If someone finds a still shot of Taylor being smashed by the pig, I will replace the painting behind my computer with that one.
I'd probably spend all my life savings to keep that private.
I don't want to beat a dead horse into the ground, but Danielle yelling at her judge. So whether you're saying something bad or good about Danielle, you're adding to the narrative. Yep. And that's what's going on here. Just adding to the narrative, layering the narrative. Were you going to say something, JR?
No.
Okay, so I saw you lean in for a second.
Trying to peel back the curtains a little bit.
Back to my can we look at where are we in the show? Approaching 40 minutes. Let's look at event number 9 and then start discussing what Chandler Medeiros and Roman Krennikov are going to have to deal with here, and we'll hear from the boys.
Favorite workout of the weekend here.
How this thing is going to play out. A little hype around it.
With 2 workouts left, let's go ahead and call that last workout what it was. The last workout was the 3rd strength workout. And people need to get past the idea that strength tests can only be deemed as such when there's an external load. That is not the case. That workout was the 3rd strength workout of this competition.
Yep.
And a great
that's good for me to hear. That's good for me to hear. I always forget that. I'm guilty of that.
A great case study to exemplify that point is I mentioned that was Tetlow's best finish of the weekend, 5th. His second best finish of the weekend was 8th. Texas Oak last night. The guy's strong.
Yep.
Good point, Brian. Amanda stacking that cash. Haven't been able to catch much live, but what I have has been outstanding as always. Thanks and keep it up.
JR motherfucking Howell.
What is Amanda, like from 1950? Look at her and her husband.
Yeah, she's at least 78.
Dapper.
Well, she looks like she's 30, but she looks like she came in a time machine from 1950.
I'm kidding.
Thank you. If you're a redhead, I doubled down on how much I like you. I love a redhead. Great recaps. The Netherlands. That's the country where a
little bit of a scary profile pic, but
that guy hacks internet. That guy hacks FBI internet servers. That is a scary picture. Okay. JR, thanks for reminding us that event 8 was a strength event. Then let me put you on the spot here. How would you categorize event number 9, 7 rounds of muscle ups, hill sprint, and goblet squats?
I would probably put this one in the category of base capacity, meaning like it's long enough to where the aerobic capacity is component's going to come into play. There's enough gymnastics to where tricep, shoulder, whatever, upper body pulling stamina is going to come into play. And there's enough running and squatting in it where that's going to come into play. So I would say it's overall base capacity. This is one of Taylor's MWG specials right here.
MWG stands for what, Taylor?
Monostructural weightlifting gymnastics. I mean, it's a classic triplet. It's beautifully written. I think for the most part, it's very, very well balanced. But I think if you had to give the workout a linchpin or a crux, so to speak, for me, it would be going from the goblet squats into that round of 7 muscle ups quickly with no transition, without standing there, breathing a lot, chalking a lot. Because holding a kettlebell like this, especially when you get to rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then going right into the ring muscle ups to do 7 unbroken and fast is going to be really fucking hard.
Yeah, and that's what I think.
Race.
Yeah, and that's when I think not only just looking at who's really good at muscle ups, I think this is the kind of workout where the true professionals, like the really experienced athletes, are really going to excel. There's so many rounds, there's so many transitions, there's so many opportunities to rest too much or not enough that I think some of those younger, less experienced athletes, even though they have the capacity, are not going to perform as well because they start breaking the muscle ups too late, or because they start out too hot on the hill run in the first 3 rounds, stuff like that.
Taylor and JR, let me ask you this about this workout. I view this workout for the men as the workout that's most likely to closely resemble the final leaderboard, but I don't view it that way for the women.
I think this event and
hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. That's very important what Brian just said, if you didn't catch that. He's saying, and we've talked about this in other shows too, and this is something we should talk about at every event. If you had to pick one event, and that event, the winner of that event would be the winner of the games, it's most indicative of who's the fittest there. It's this event. That's a huge call. Sorry, JR, go ahead.
I would say
Taylor.
say that for the men only in this workout. I'm curious what these guys think.
Thank you for the clarification. Taylor, sorry, go ahead. Your response.
I would say if you look at the leaderboard right now, the event that most closely resembles the men's leaderboard is ski bar. And it's a little loose, but it's generally the top 7 are in there. That workout or the top 7 on the leaderboard. But I agree with Brian. I think this workout so far is most likely to reflect the men's leaderboard. On the women's side, I don't know. I think Brian might be surprised at how closely this resembles the women's leaderboard when this is all.
Why not the women, Brian? What do you see here that makes you think it's the men and not the women? What
49 muscle ups.
I think what I would say is if you drop the muscle ups to 5 per round for the women, it has a better chance to reflect the overall leaderboard.
I think it's the Texas Oak is the most correlated.
Of course,
it goes 1 Chandler, 2 Roman, and then
this is coming from the man who has a series. This is coming from a man who has a series that eventually is going to become the most popular series on the internet in the fitness space, Testosterone Tuesday. If you haven't checked it out yet, go to Hiller Fit, go to his YouTube station, and you will see why he likes the Oak as we watch Andrew Hiller turn from CrossFitter to strongman. And go to cahormones.com to learn all about Hiller's advancements in human performance. Josh Leherman. Holy shit. That is the coolest tractor I've ever seen in someone's profile pic. That tread is insane. I'd love to go for a ride sometime. $99.99. You're better than the event. Oh my goodness. Jan Clark, always a fat contributor. Crazy, appreciate it. Greg, what? Did I say it wrong?
You said Jan. Is it Jan?
Oh, I'm just sexist. I just think it's a dude.
Oh, I thought it was a chick.
So I go with it. Well, there
it's pretty obvious from the picture.
No, right
here. YouTube logo or a J. All right, whatever.
You say man, you say woman, I say man, whatever. It doesn't matter these days. It doesn't matter. Gray Ghost 07, $10. Woke free reporting. That I'm giving you $10 back because that's the nicest thing anyone said to me in a long time.
Except for Taylor. MCU.
Oh, stop that. I'm not woke. I'm sleep.
Excellent coverage, Sevan and crew, crushing coverage. By the way, Christopher Campagna sounds like lasagna. That's me, super stoked and grateful for L1. Oh, dude, I'm going to have you on the show, brother. I know, Travis. This is the guy who won the L1 yesterday, the free giveaway from VindicateVNDK8.com. We will have him on the show after he takes his L1 to talk to him. Travis said you were out of your fucking mind and he loved you. He said he said it couldn't have come at a better time in your life, and I'm glad. That makes me feel great. The pandering is overwhelming. No, this is an orgy, Jeff.
What's pandering?
Trident CrossFit.
He thinks we're sucking each other off.
Sevan, Chris Campagna is a Trident CrossFit with Chris Smith. That's awesome. Who called that?
Wow. Small world.
Jeff is the one who had the pronunciation correct on that, by the way. Campagna, like lasagna.
Lasagna, Campagna.
What a great gym. That makes me so happy that he got that.
Yeah. This is a good question. I'll get to that.
I got it.
Okay, go ahead, Hiller. Go ahead.
He has absolutely no buildup in his muscle mass to his strength. So you see someone like Chandler Smith, who's built like a brick shithouse, and he's excelling on stuff like the strict handstand push-ups at the Oak. And then you see someone like Saxon, who kind of pulled a 300-pound snatch out of his ass, and he's just very good at CrossFit. Like his brother Scott also built like a brick shithouse. There was a whole like lead up until the point in time in which he had to go and do the Olympic lifting movements. I feel like Saxon and Spencer are on the other end of the spectrum, where they kind of got into Olympic weightlifting a little bit prematurely. They don't have that brute strength behind the stuff that they do. Still incredible athletes, but need to work on their powerlifting, strongman.
Size.
Did you mean that
Size.
prematurely? Do you think that there's an order to how you should start lifting?
At least linear progression on both of them, especially in CrossFit. Like you can't just go head first into Olympic weightlifting. He also, from what I know, doesn't have a great bench press, which is just whatever. It doesn't really matter because there isn't very much of it. But also, if you stand next to him, he's this thin. And then you stand next to Chandler Smith, and he's a house. There's just
To Hiller's point, yeah. To Hiller's point, if you can't deadlift a barbell, you probably shouldn't go try to fucking snatch it.
Okay, understood. What about Taylor
Linear
Self?
progression.
Taylor Self's like one of those saltwater fish. Like one way he looks white as shit.
I wouldn't look at that
Taylor's.
shit. I would not
He
say
is,
so.
but he's broad. Taylor's built like a swimmer. He's a fucking flying squirrel. He's all lats
Do
and
that again, Taylor.
shoulders.
Do that
He has
again.
no waist. No, not true, JR.
He's big.
He's
No.
big.
Fuck
He's
you,
a
Sevan.
No,
Fuck
not
you.
okay. When I think of him as just fucking Michael Phelps, but with some titties and shoulders. All right, I'll have to rethink his body when I close my eyes at night.
Michael Phelps with some titties and shoulders.
Taylor Self said about that workout. If you could pull that workup up, Matt Souza, Hiller. He said it's a beautiful workout.
Who said that?
Self-made training program said this event 9 is a
I
beautiful.
agree. It's awesome.
What does he see?
Well, I mean, he sees
Okay,
classic.
you go. Hiller, quiet. JR is going to talk. Go ahead, JR.
I was gonna say he sees classic CrossFit. He does like a high volume workout. So when he sees the 49 ring muscle ups as opposed to if this was 5 rounds, I can already tell you he would not like it nearly as much. But the fact that the hill sprint is going to make the goblet squats harder, and the transition from the goblet squat to the ring muscle up is going to be a lot harder. So every movement kind of compounds on itself. Also, I think too, it's really interesting when we looked at the programming without seeing the other workouts and without seeing the total test. I looked at it at first and thought, 11 goblet squats. I would have liked that to maybe be 14, just double the number of muscle ups. I think maybe then it becomes a little bit more balanced. But this morning, all the athletes were saying how sore their legs were. And I think that just shows you, as far as Chris and Josh and Katie go, how much went into the thought process of these workouts and how they landed on the fact that they knew 11 would be enough based on the hill run, based on the 405 back squat workout, the lunge workout, that all the leg movements would start to compound on Sunday.
You know the parent company to GoRuck? It's 7-Eleven, sponsored by.
No way. That's so funny.
Please tell me that's not true.
I'm not confirming or denying.
Hiller, what interesting with JR, JR Howell added there to Taylor is he also, although JR thinks it's a beautiful workout and perfectly placed, but he also explained to us Taylor's biases for wanting a longer workout. What do you think is beautiful about it, Hiller?
I didn't say longer. I just said higher volume as far as the gymnastics go.
Higher volume, excuse me.
I always look at these things in terms of pacing. So how long do you think this is going to take, guys? Like 13 minutes, maybe?
Yeah.
12, I think 12
Yeah.
to 18 is my expected range.
12 minutes?
I think most
So I
people.
always
Yeah, I
look
think
at
most
it
people
on
are
a
going to be in the 12 to 14.
It depends on
You
the
know
hill
the
run.
fuck around to find out graph, and it's just like there's a graph, and I always look at kind of heart rate over the course of the workout, and as long as you can do the movements, which are the 7 muscle ups over the course of the 7 rounds, ends up being 49. And if you take someone like a Medeiros or someone who looks at it and goes, no matter what, they can do the 7 unbroken, there's going to be a little bit of a heart rate bump every single time on top of the hill run, on top of the goblet squat, and then you're shuttling blood from like the upper body to the lower body over the course of the 7 rounds of the workout. You look at the competition being like a Chandler, a Justin, a Roman, and you're all of a sudden asking yourself who can handle the work over the course of the time domain and who can keep their heart rate in a area where they can also push at the back end of the workout. So I think you'll see people blowing up on rounds 5, on round 6, just because they're pushing a little bit too early, which is why I think it's a cool workout.
Mary Hollis, it's tough to go back through the 12 hours of rogue footage to find heats you actually want to watch. The Sevan Podcast. It's tough to go back through the 12 hours of rogue footage to find the heats you actually want to watch, but the Sevan Podcast coverage is amazing. Thanks for all the stellar content, guys. Mary Hollis, thank you. Hey, crazy before and after photos, girl.
Yeah.
Crazy. You are a fucking role model that the world needs.
Awesome. Yeah.
You are it. You are it. If you don't, please DM me. I'd like to make sure I follow you. Courtney.
Howell.
Hoff. It would be Hoff.
Courtney Hoff. Amazing coverage as always. Annie's consistent climb up the leaderboard is very impressive and has gone under the radar. $9.99. Thank you. Brian, how do you get 12 to 14 minutes on that? Will you break down the workout for me?
12 to 18 minutes.
12 to 18.
I think they're talking more about the top times being sub 14. I think that you will see, especially on the women's field, that some of the times string out. Now we don't know the time cap, so it's possible that they put a 16-minute time cap and a third of the women's field gets capped. But if they give them a long enough cap for everyone to finish, I think that especially for the men, muscle-ups will be unbroken, 5 to 7 rounds for everyone. Hill sprint will be very much just managing that and honestly making sure you don't trip or hurt yourself coming down in the later rounds. And then the squats will be, methodical and get back to it. I just see like a minute 30 rounds being the maximum for a lot of these people.
Crazy.
I think with the hill sprint, I think a minute 30, 7 muscle ups is going to take people around 21 to 30 seconds. The goblet squats are going to take another 21 to 30 seconds, and I don't think a hill sprint is taking just 30 seconds. I think
but the hill's way the fuck away from the rig, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes, and then you add transitions into that. I just don't. I see.
So how long for the hill sprint? You think 45 seconds? A minute?
I think I misspoke. I think a minute 30 to 2 minute per round is
the fastest.
What's interesting is they write sprint.
Absolutely the fastest.
It's not going to be a sprint, but everything they've said so far is pretty accurate. So like when we were looking at the bag pull uphill, it was a bag pull uphill, and I wonder if they're going to make them sprint. But there's no way for them to actually do that. So I'm just talking on my butt.
Well, the fact that they're competing,
I don't know why I don't call it a hill run. It's a hill run.
Yeah, and I mean, I said this the other day. I think Brian's out there. He can probably already see the field set up. I know it's probably not going to be this way, but just how cool it would have been. We know there's enough room at the top of that hill to put the kettlebells up there and have the hill sprint and then have them squat up on the hill and then put the kettlebell down and run back down to the rings would have been so cool.
Wobble back down. Brian Minton, €5. Thanks, brother. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Mr. Friend.
I'm actually not out at the field, but I love that idea by JR. The only other thing that they could have is the progression of the kettlebells on the field of play so that you can see, if there's athletes that are falling behind by a round or more throughout the course of the
I like that. I like a progression down the field of play a lot.
They probably will have something like that.
Yeah, I would think so. And, this is like we're at the point of the weekend. We have 200 points left unless the last workout's 2 scored, which is probably not going to happen. So if you look at someone like Vellner, he is going to be someone that's going to have to accept from rounds 2 through 7 being really, really uncomfortable and hurting. And I think he knows that going in. I expect someone like him to come out hot and to just hope that his fitness can hold on because he needs something big to happen here. He needs a win.
Yeah, I think what's probably most likely with the goblet squats is that they're on the other side of the rig, far away from the hill. So you have the rig here, the hill here, and then the goblet squats are going to be on this side, closer to home plate, and they'll advance down towards home plate to the finish line. And that would mean the run means a whole lot more than what we initially thought it would be.
Yeah, and if that's the case, it probably becomes a mid-teens workout, and the cap's probably like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Stefan Thieringer. Here's $10 just for your trying to pronounce difficult last names. Thank you, Stefan. Justin V. Great coverage as always. Dan Bailey sucks big dripping syphilis cock. Wow, that's hardcore. That's fucking over the top. Okay. Oh, here we go. Pronounce like Derringer, not Ringer. Okay, the Theringer. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
Torque tank up the hill. That would have been nice.
Yes. I love that.
Has that ever been done?
No,
torque tank up a hill?
They wouldn't do that, but I love my torque
They wouldn't
tank.
do it.
Hey, torque tank down a hill. How about that?
Listen to this. I talk so much shit about
Ride it
them,
down.
and they're laughing their way all the way to the bank with my $1,700. They are.
The CrossFit wisdom from this show, second to none. And Sevan, you can ride the tractor anytime. Thank you. That's what I said to my wife. Okay. Let's go back to the women and pick what's going to happen between Laura and Ani here. Ani Thor's daughter.
Annika?
Yes.
Diddlani.
And I'd like to drill down into a little more detail here, where it actually is going to be the weak links for both of them, and where each of them is going to shine. Laura Horvat with 600 points, Annie with Thor's daughter with 585 points. Brian, first off, will they be separated by 3 places in this workout?
I think they're going to be pretty close to each other in this. My original thought was that something like 6th and 8th is reasonable finishes for them, but I'm not completely sure who will be ahead. I did look back at some stuff this morning. Laura she's not bad at ring muscle ups. I think she can actually beat Annie on this, and the fact that she's not behind her at this point in the competition and the handstand push-ups are behind her, I think that it's looking better and better for Laura right now.
Mr. Taylor Self, what happens here between these two? Brian's thinking that between them they'll fall 6th, 7th, or 8th place, and he's giving the slight edge to Laura Horvat.
To be honest, I don't know enough about Laura's muscle ups to say whether or not she's going to be better than Annie, but I do think it'll be a good race to watch. I think she's an amazing runner, and you add a hill, she's an even better runner.
They're both great squatters.
They're both good squatters. I think Laura's probably a better squatter than Annie, so I think it's going to come down to the muscle ups and the transitions there, and I think Annie probably has the edge on her in the muscle ups, but we'll see.
Brian, can you
Laura's
dip
going
in?
to smash Annie, by the way.
Brian, can you dip into your data bank and give us some workouts that you remember Laura doing muscle ups on and how she did?
What's her 30? Yeah, what is her time?
There you go. Thanks, Bill.
The heavyweights are chiming in. This isn't good news. Here we go.
She did
Wow.
She did do well on that. I also wanted to look back and see how she did on. And I am hesitant to bring this workout up because the Capitol definitely affected it a lot. But I think she had a top 5 finish on up and over at the games this year too, which was a 27 ring muscle ups, I think.
Well, what about event 2 from 2021?
36. I think it was 3 sets of 12.
3 sets of 12, which and for the women in particular in that workout, the ring muscle ups were a big factor. I just don't know, like I said, how much anyway, I think she has a good history with them. 30 ring muscle ups for time and up and over this past summer. So yeah, I think there are a lot of women in this field that are going to do well on this workout, but I still think she can have, like I said, at worst a top 6 finish.
This is really scary for Annie. Bill Grundler with Get With The Programming, former super high-level CrossFit Games athlete and now commentator. Laura had one of the fastest 30 reps for time in 2018. And Matt Souza's pulled it up. She took 3rd place at the CrossFit Games.
Annie should be on there, no? How'd she
Wow.
do?
How did Annie do? Can we scroll down? Thank you, Bill. Justin Kerr, thanks for the wave. Sevan and CEO Brian Friend, No Rep Hiller. Thank you for Taylor Self and JR Howell. You guys are second to none. And Hiller, thanks for ignoring us. Shout out Cassie and Justin. Where did you ignore that? Oh, when they said,
I think
No
they were
Rep
on
shirt.
the screen, yeah.
He was
about a minute slower, Annie was.
He was looking at his vascularity. I apologize. Okay, so Annie was a minute behind her, 53 seconds behind her.
Yeah,
30 muscle
Laura's
ups for
going to
time.
destroy Annie on this workout. And by destroy, I mean how many people can slot between her and Thor's daughter.
With this, here we go. We don't see too many questions like this. With this being the best men's field, would Fraser smash them?
I would just say, I think the men's field at the games was better than this one, but this is a very good one. And I don't really see the relevance of this question. But if Fraser was still competing to try to smash them, I think he would be smashing them.
Yes. End of story. Although, don't forget Justin Medeiros is here. And
I think Froning would beat Frazier, though.
Me too. Taylor or JR, do you want to weigh in on this next workout between Laura Horvat and Annie Thorisdottir?
Yeah, I think coming from a different angle a little bit, I do think Laura will beat her, only because I do think that when it comes down to the later rounds, she will use the run as a place to make up time, not as a place to recover. And I think it's going to be really easy for people to start to use the run as their recovery. The last thing is, and I hate to break it up, but Annie did 24 more strict parallel handstand push-ups than Laura did. And that probably will come into play on those last 15 ring muscle up lockouts.
That is an excellent point.
Definitely will come into play.
One nuance that I like about this workout in the totality of the entire competition is that we're testing running again. Like, running is relevant in this workout, but it's being tested in a totally different format. And I don't feel like there's excessive testing of running, but you had obviously the long suffering through the ranch run, and here you have it in a rounds for time workout where it's a critical component. I think that those are the two components of running that you'd want to see in a high level competition, at the very least.
Ross Lewis, $4.99. Thank you for the coverage. Always excellent. Ross, I always appreciate the back and forth we have, even though it gets contentious. I always see it as friendly, and I appreciate you, brother. Josh Holton, thank you again. Wow, you guys, thank you. Good call, JR, on the handstand push-ups. You're specifically talking about the push-out at the top, JR. The triceps are going to be used again to do this, and that's the part you're talking about?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, typically with any higher level athlete, they're not coming off the rings because they can't make the transition. They're coming down because the lockout's getting too difficult.
Yep. And Laura took that entire event off, so basically she just had a fucking bye into this next workout.
So everyone has a
well-deserved bye because she had such a strong lead.
Everyone is taking Laura Horvat for this with a slight edge, but we do believe it's going to be close. Is that it?
Who said slight edge?
I did initially, but
you've been swayed by the conversation. Brian Friend's been swayed by the further analysis.
Total domination by Laura.
That point that JR made, I think, is actually more critical than I was factoring in.
Bill Grunler, she did more work than Laura had to, and it's a decent amount with the handstand push-ups and the snatches.
Add intensity.
Well-deserved bye for sure. Wow.
Oh, thanks, Spiegel. I got a motherfucking.
Okay, let's cruise over to the men. There we have a three-way race. Chandler Smith, Roman Khrennikov from the great country of Russia. And then, of course, our very own from the greatest country in the world, Justin Medeiros from Lodi, California, the unbeatable champ. The dynasty is here, letting the other guys think that they have a chance. The workout, we've looked at the workout. It's hill run, muscle ups, and goblet squats. This time we'll start with Hiller. Hiller, who do you got for this?
Khrennikov.
Why is that?
I think he's the fittest guy in the field.
What about those movements? You think he's a better squatter, runner, and muscle upper than
he's a
Medeiros?
Slightly worse muscle upper than Medeiros, but I think he's a vastly better squatter for repetitions, along with handling the hill and the run better.
Well, I would argue that if there's one thing you want to be bad at that you don't want to be bad at in this workout, the hardest thing to make up to be bad at and where you would lose the most time would be muscle ups. So if he's worse at the muscle ups, that probably balances out with being.
I think if you asked them both to do 50 per time, Medeiros would beat him by 30 to 40 seconds. But if you had him do just hill running and squatting, then Khrennikov would beat him by quite a bit.
Okay. J.R. Howell.
Just between the two of them?
No, and Chandler Smith. You can. I mean, you're going to pick who, and then I'm going to ask you why.
Okay. I would say in those three, I'm still going to go with Justin just because of the sense of urgency right now to separate himself from Roman and just to make sure that he beats Roman. But I think Pat wins the workout.
Wow. Okay. I do want to say this also. This is why this is going to be so amazing. Not only have the boys told you that this is a beautiful workout, that it's a lot of volume, but we have heard over and over by these four guys above me that Justin is the master pacer. And if there's anywhere we're going to see his pacing, it's going to be in this workout. So no matter what, you want to watch this sucker to the end. Taylor Self, out of these three, Justin Medeiros, Chandler Smith, and Roman Krennikov separated by 10 points, the three of them. Who comes out on top?
I think Chandler Smith comes out on top. I think Justin takes second and Roman takes third.
And why Chandler?
I just think he's feeling himself going into day 3. Another good event this morning, and his dad's in the stands.
Fair enough. What about those hill sprints with rolling that cannonball that is Chandler Smith up that hill?
I think he'll do fine with that. He's a good runner. So.
Wow. So we have 3. We have Roman picked by Hiller, Medeiros picked by J.R. Howell, and now Chandler Smith picked by SMTP Training. And for the tie break, and also Taylor added that he thinks Vellner will actually win this workout.
JR said that.
JR said that. Okay. Mr. Friend, who do you got?
One thing that I was noticing here is that on the trail run, they were 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the running, like we talked about, is probably going to take as much time each round or more than the muscle-ups and the squatting combined for these guys. So I don't think that any one of them is going to gain too much of an edge there. I really, really think this workout is, in addition to everything else that we said, is all about rounds 5 and 6. And we have studied, I've written about it, I've done so much analysis about this guy. Medeiros is the best in the current field at making a move late in the workout, and I think that we'll see him do that and edge these guys out for this one.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
One other thing. I mean, I think what JR brought up about Vellner is relevant. There are a lot of men in this field that can factor in, and I think that guys like don't sleep on guys like BKG and Ricky Garrard to have performances that could possibly come in between these guys and make a big influence on the leaderboard coming out of this workout as well.
Good point. From Get With The Programming, the CrossFit Games #1 commentator, Chase Ingram joins us. This is going to be a slugfest with Justin Medeiros and Roman Krennikov. I can't wait. Pat and Ricky will be in the mix for sure, as stated by Brian also. Curious how Chandler paces this one out. I'm curious. That's exactly what I'm curious to. For some reason, I think we're going to see Chandler and Noah both hit a wall, and it's not going to be pretty.
Anyone want to take bets? Anyone want to take bets on round 1 leader?
No. Yes, we know who's going to win this first round race.
JR, over under 8.5 place finish for Hopper on this workout.
Like under as in he finishes 7th or better, or under as in he finishes worse?
8th or better, 9th or worse?
Better.
Better.
There you go, Hiller.
I think better.
Souza, can you give us a quick peek of what's going on over at the Rogue Invitational Live? I'm curious what they're showing over there right now. Give us how many seconds can we show, Hiller? 6?
6.
6, okay.
I think it's record breaker stuff.
Yeah, they're picking up big stones and hanging on to them.
There were actually some cool things going on.
I thought they said Half Thor was gonna try to break a record. Didn't he lose all sorts of weight? I thought he was fighting now and he wasn't doing strongman.
They just showed him a little while back. It was the
who do we got?
kettlebell swing over the bar.
It was what kettlebell? Oh, throwing the thing up over the bar.
Yeah, he just broke the record by an inch.
Wow. Okay.
This guy doesn't look like a strong man. Oh, he turned it off. Okay.
No, that didn't. It didn't.
He was the Texas strength and conditioning, University of Texas strength and conditioning coach. That's who they were showing in that shot. Yeah. And it looks like he is going to try to pick up the Thor hammer.
Jean Cleve, $5. Thanks, brother. Thank you, John. Let's take one quick round and thought on. Oh, we lost J.R. Howell. Let's take one quick thought on what event 10 is going to be. Have your thoughts? Anyone have any thoughts on that?
Somewhere someone said something about a yoke and rowing. Was that helping? I like that.
Well, we were unable to confirm whether or not they've been sized for yokes. It sounds like they ultimately have not been. I think that there's a high likelihood that we see a rower and a toes to bar and something else in a 4 to 7 minute like chipper style workout. Maybe not in that order, but with some of those implements.
Taylor?
I can see a shorter event, somewhere between 4 to 6 minutes. I think potentially another machine like a rower. There's not a ton, they've done one thing from a pull-up bar, and it wasn't even an actual pull-up bar. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw toes to bar, like Brian said. I would like to see a burpee.
Burpee toes.
I would like to see some handstand walking.
I think it's very similar to the
burpee toes to bar is a nasty.
I think we're very unlikely to see. I think we're very unlikely to see handstand walking. I still think that if there were going to be those two, I would guess those two movements with something that we have not seen before, some kind of new thing that Rogue is rolling out, whether it's a new way to use something old or a new thing that we're doing something with to finish out the workout.
Hiller, would you like to see something that they're proficient at and that they can race at? Or would you like as the final event, or would you like to see something completely new, like throwing that keg over a pole for height or something?
I hope it's something completely new.
You do?
I think it takes our opinions out of it almost entirely and adds to the spectators just watching and maybe people melting down. I'm big on having people who you don't expect doing well on things do well on things, especially in a finale.
Here's what I'd like to
see. That's for sure.
Here's what I'd like to see. Funny you say that. I'd like to see all of them out there, all the men out there with 225 on their back.
That'd be nice. Good call.
And you say, and it's a death by squatting. Squat, everyone goes down 1. And you wait till and you just start watching them drop like flies. Just in the stuff you would see would be make a great fail video. You'd see some people just getting.
That would be.
I don't see him squatting again after the goblet squats in event 9, but
just destroyed.
I think you may have just come up with one of the best event finales of all time.
Thank you. It would be, and you have to do that as a last event because someone's going to fucking blow something out. Someone's going to shit out a piece of their intestine. Okay. The next Rogue event number 9 starts at 11:10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Is that right, Mr. Souza?
Correct.
Any final thoughts anyone wants to say? Leave us with?
How long is that from now?
An hour, 50 minutes.
50 minutes.
48 minutes.
Yeah, I'll say one last. I think Emma Lawson's about to win this workout for the women's.
Wow, I like it. I like it. I like it.
But Laura's going to beat her. You have her on your fantasy team. I know what you're doing here.
Brian, that being said, what about Ellie Turner? How are her muscle ups?
I think this is. I think Ellie Turner in this workout is the type of person you'll see intentionally breaking them from the first round, which would probably end up being a good strategy for her. And even if she does 3-2-2 every round with a calculated break, or some rounds of 4-3, some rounds of 3-2-2, she can cruise through the squats, manage the run. I think a 10th place finish would be good for her on this. I also think Danielle Brandon's going to do really well on this workout.
I think if Ellie could do the muscle ups unbroken, that she'd win this event. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you immediately after event 9 for a show. We're all excited to see event 10.
You don't even have to want to do CrossFit. You don't have to want to be a coach. You don't have to want to be a trainer. If you just want the operating manual to your body, it's not just Forge and Elite Fitness. It's the operating manual to the human genome. You'll take this CrossFit Level 1 seminar and you will walk away inspired. From the second you leave, your entire life will change. You will make significant changes to your life because you are excited. You will start tweaking with your diet. You'll start tweaking with your movement. You'll start tweaking with who you hang out with. Everything will take a shift. For some people, it'll be massive. For some people, it'll be a little bit. No matter what, you'll move towards a better life. Everyone is going to sense it in you that you are more accountable, more personally responsible, happier, more helpful, more thoughtful human being. And you'll be nicer to look at.